just want to talk.
Welcome to the second season of We Just Want to Talk. I'm Debbie,
I'm Miriam, and this is everything we want to talk about,
including Tegan and Sara.
Guys, say something, please. So awkward.
Sorry, I'm
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and talk about Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sara.
Sorry, I was reading Tegan's post. I got distracted.
I know.
Can
Doesn't
you
she
read
know
it to
we're
me?
recording a
Yes.
podcast right now?
Can you read it?
Yes. What a week. Fanatical is out in the world. Feels mostly good. Though each time a new victim comes forward, my heart aches a bit. I'm so glad the movie is connecting with people. I'm thrilled for the many who participated that they feel no regret about sharing their story. I'm grateful the press seems to have understood the vision and purpose of the movie. I'm breathing a little easier and feeling a lot lighter. Got to go home finally, which feels great. Georgia has been like Velcro, sleeping pressed against me. Georgia doesn't care about movie or books. She still doesn't seem particularly impressed with my singing either. Yesterday, I played guitar for the first time in weeks, and she stood staring at me until she finally gave up and laid on my feet. I think she thinks I'm upset when I sing. Her distress seems to be linked to her thinking I'm distressed. An interesting thought for me to consider when I'm singing. Is my body stressed when I make art? Is minding myself and crafting songs from the pieces hurting me? Georgia thinks so. I do too sometimes. But once the art is out, I feel so much better. So I guess it's all worth it. The leaves here are changing and falling, marking another change. The countdown clock has started. A long slumber, an extended holiday, and many seasons of creativity are coming. We won't be gone forever, but we're going to go away for a while. It feels exciting to imagine a proper hiatus. When we return, what will we return to?
Kinda heavy.
I mean, I've already made my peace about it. Like, I'm actually excited for a break because I feel like everyone needs it, not just them. Like, I feel like we do as well. This documentary was very intense for everyone, so I feel like if the time to have a break is now after. You know,
I think they coordinated that well.
Very well.
Yeah.
I think I already started my break right before the documentary, and then the documentary happened. So now I'm taking a pause from my break from Tegan and Sara, and I'm
That's
just gonna
true.
restart again like tomorrow.
That's true. We talked about it yesterday because I said that like I didn't want the podcast to be only about Tegan and Sara anymore. Like we started to bring in other topics, and Tegan and Sara was just like, because we still like the band, it's like we still talk about them because we just naturally do it. But with Fanatical, like this episode was supposed to be about AI, and then we were going to talk about Fanatical, but then because we found out so many things and like it just became its own thing. Now it's just Fanatical, and I'm hoping that this is the last episode focused on Tegan and Sara, because even
Aren't you
after
doing Crush as well?
but like Crush, we can still have a topic.
Yeah, because
like
we can talk about, I'm like already soft launching that I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
We can talk about middle school, junior high experience.
I did tell Debbie that, but she's not with it.
I didn't want to go back, and because she wanted to use the topic of nostalgia, right? That was the one, and I wanted to do dreams. The topic of dreams.
You told me the dreams because it starts with that dream.
And also
that's a good idea.
Because to give spoilers, but
I haven't read it. Don't tell me.
Anyways, I wanted to talk about dreams and Crush, but this episode, I hope that is the last one that is like so intense and so Tegan and Sara driven, and like I myself hope that I'm not as obsessive too after watching the documentary. Like I've been reflecting also,
Debbie, start.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome back. I just gave an introduction, I guess. We have Emma and Jess with us today. We were gonna have another guest, a new guest, but it didn't work out. Hopefully in the future we'll have them.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about hello.
These are our faithful guests, Emma and Jess, our favorite guests. No offense to anyone else who has been
No offense, obviously.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Of
Yeah, thank you
course.
for having us again.
Thank you for being here again and
Yes,
again.
thank you for coming, and it's so nice whenever we do this.
I
Yeah,
know. It's so
And
fun.
yeah,
it's
so we're gonna talk
enjoyable to
about
talk to you guys.
yes, always. But yeah, we're going to talk about Fanatical, the Catfishing of Tegan and Sara, the documentary by Erin Lee Carr. All of us already watched it, probably multiple times. I don't know, Emma, have you seen it again?
No,
No, okay. Emma watched it yesterday, so it's still fresh.
it is very
Wow.
fresh. Yes.
Yeah.
I watched it with Debbie last week, and I watched like a couple of bits today, this morning, just to
Mhm.
remember how it starts.
hmm
So I watched it once basically.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the documentary, and we're going to talk about it from a perspective of fans who watched, because obviously you have the perspective of the fans who were part of the documentary, but not
Mm-hmm.
the fans who watched it and how we received it.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna
how,
share
like,
our thoughts. Like,
moving forward, how we're going to just how we as people and part of a fandom, how we're going to interact with them, or just the internet and all that stuff, because the main message was to be careful, online, because this is serious stuff and it happens everywhere. I'm going to also share my catfishing story, because I wasn't catfished, but someone framed me for hacking somebody and they thought I was the hacker. So I'm going to tell that story. And I think that's it. Like, we're going to go deep into like the fandom and what we think, how the fandom acts and reacts, and the problems. We're going to talk about theories as well, but we're
yeah,
not going to expose anybody, or say
point
any
fingers at
names.
anyone. So that's a disclaimer.
Yeah, we're
This
gonna.
is
No.
this is not here to point fingers at anyone or to make up speculations without any like proof or anything. Like it's not here to cause drama. This is just our own reflection about the
Mhm. Yeah.
documentary as fans who watched it, not and were not part of the documentary, because we want to talk about that, because I'm pretty sure like everyone else is, from what we noticed, that the documentary kind of left us overwhelmed and
hmm I mean,
questioning.
online, on the surface, what I see is people that are not part of the fandom online talking about it. The people who are part of
Mhm.
the fandom online, we have so much baggage. Like, we know so much that like the casual fan doesn't know, that no one is speaking
Mhm.
about it, because everyone is like, I mean, for myself, I can use the word embarrassed, because I'm like, I feel like if I talk about it, they're gonna think that like I'm also one of these people. So I feel like
Yeah,
a
we're
lot
gonna
of
talk
people are
about
thinking,
this. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we're
it's
gonna
it's
talk
part
more
of the
about this.
it's
Yeah.
part of the discussion. And I was gonna say that for the theories and stuff, we're gonna talk about them, but we're gonna try to be very vague, no pointing fingers and no exposing.
And I just want to say something that for those who think that we have an idea who Tara or Fegan is or whatever, we don't. We
No,
truly do not.
not at all.
It's just speculation based on
Mm-hmm.
what we've read, what we've researched so far, but we actually don't. Even though I was there during that time. I was active on Tumblr during that time, 2013 and 14, but I wasn't very like I saw the leaked songs, like I heard them and I saw some of the pictures, but honestly I was a new fan, so I didn't care that much. I just knew that it was hacked. It was a hack that happened in 2011, and these songs were released and these pictures were released out of the hack. I just didn't care who posted them and why they were resurfacing. I didn't understand that, honestly. But I remember it was crazy. I remember people were like, you shouldn't share those things. You're not supposed to. Like, if Tegan wanted them to be released, they would have, like, Tegan and Sara would have recorded them. I'm talking about the songs, and the pictures were personal pictures. So obviously, it's not the right thing to just share them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Um, um,
Mhm.
I wanted to mention that we had two episodes already, one about fandom,
Mhm.
where we talked about like fans were entitled and they think they should know everything and they are obsessed, and a lot of people
Blurred.
are crossing a line, and
Mhm.
we need to find out what the line is. But in some way everyone is a little bit obsessed. So we talked about it in the fandom episode, not knowing at all about this.
I told
Yeah, we
you,
didn't
you like
recognize.
manifested.
We talked about it already. Jess
Yeah.
said that,
Yeah.
kind of like foreshadowing
Mm.
this. And the other episode we talked about the documentary was, I can't remember which episode, but we mentioned when Tegan was in, I think, Orlando, one of the VIPs, and then someone asked, what is the most weird thing that you heard about yourself? And then she was like, I can't tell you
Rumor.
now.
Rumor
the
heard
rumor.
about herself.
The rumor.
Yeah.
Crazy rumor. And she said, I can't tell you right now, but I'm putting an Easter egg in this VIP. So think about it. And she said it was shocking, huge.
Mm.
And then we were speculating, like, what could it be? And then we thought it could be like the release of Superstar, like they would redo Superstar was one of the things that we said. We said that it could have been the degree that they got, the
Yeah,
lawyer
doctorate
degree.
degree.
Yeah.
It could have been that.
And I thought it was a live concert of reimagined songs. Like
But
I
yeah,
thought
you
the
said,
documentary was that.
yeah, it would be like a music DVD where they would
Yeah.
reimagine the songs, because they've been
Like
talking about reimagining songs, and then we were like, oh, maybe that's what the
like
documentary
get
is about.
along kind of.
Yeah,
Got it.
but we did also say it could be about the fandom, because they were asking for before, like,
Exactly.
remember when they sent a
Footage.
message, and then they said specifically between 2008 and 2014 or 13. I can't remember now.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
And then we were like, oh, maybe it's about fandom in general. So in that part, we
I
were
think they
kind
were
of
trying.
right.
Do you think they were trying to find Tara through those footage? Or
Maybe,
Fegan? Like that was
maybe,
very
or more victims,
oh
Yeah.
you know.
shit. Yeah, to talk to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If this person has interacted with you, blah blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's interesting to talk about all the stuff we thought, but no one thought it would be this, that someone was impersonating Tegan and catfishing fans. We would never think that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It was kind of shocking, honestly. And I didn't think how crazy it was until I saw the documentary last week.
Mhm.
Like even when you told me about it, because you've seen the premiere, Debbie, right?
Yeah.
When you told me about it, like yeah, it was great, but I didn't understand how crazy it was, how impactful on the victims it was. I did have tears in my eyes, I'm going to be honest.
Some
yeah.
people
I
cried.
cried.
Yeah,
I
Jess
cried
cried.
too.
I didn't.
I gagged.
Not
I cried.
yeah.
I laughed.
I gagged.
I
I was very
cringed.
uncomfortable.
The JT
Yeah.
part made me cry, honestly. I was just
yeah.
like, I can't, this is too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit in the script.
Debbie, what about the submissions? Do you want to just mention the submissions that we've got
Yes,
before we
it's in
get
the
into that? Yeah.
Sure, it's in the drive. We got 4 submissions, so we asked listeners to send us what were their thoughts about the documentary and if they had
Which
theories.
one?
So first one says, let's think about why Tegan doesn't want to expose Fegan.
Mhm.
So
Well, we're gonna talk about this. It's in part of the episode. So do you want to
okay.
get to it right now, or do you want to get to it when we get to
No,
it?
whoever said that, wait until we talk about it.
Yeah, we're
Next
going
one
to
is
speculate about that.
okay.
Discuss fan entitlement, fans' expectations of DNS, how normal curiosity can turn into invasion of privacy. Where is the line? We're going to also discuss this.
Mhm.
There is a whole
Mhm.
section about that.
Mhm.
Guess who
So-
submitted that?
You.
Oh, Jess.
I don't care who knows.
No, it's fine. When
It's
I
fine.
saw this one, I was like, we were just talking about it, so it's
Yeah, were you like, that's
probably
Jess?
her. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an important part actually in the podcast in this episode. So we're going to talk about it already. Message boards and comment sections, how negative they can be. Could be also about Substack. It feels like a more positive place to connect with Tegan and Sara and the fan community. We're also going to discuss this. How initially those message boards have started, and they were as a positive place, and then they turned into a very toxic place full of obsessive notions, trying to get into Tegan and Sara's lives. We're going to discuss this part, of course. Last one, as a forever TNS fan and true crime investigator, in my mind, I absolutely love the documentary and applaud you all for having the courage to share the story. I heard Tegan say on a podcast that they very likely know who Fegan is and that there is some compassion to be had for this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we agree. We agree. We're pretty sure that that Tegan knows, and
And there
here's the
is a
thing.
reason. There's a reason why they don't want to expose vegan because a lot
It's
of
reasons,
repercussions.
repercussions. Yeah. I do believe that it's not in any fans' favor to out who Fegan is, as long as since I mean Tegan didn't out that person herself, I don't think it's in our place to do that. Even
Yes.
if you know who that is, if you know any of those people, just keep it to yourselves. You can discuss it with your friends, but make sure they're trustworthy. Keep it to yourselves, please. We're not here to point fingers at anyone. Remember, and this should be like an awareness, like this documentary. Whatever you say on the internet, whatever you do on the internet does not disappear, even if it's 10 or 15 years from now. So
Right.
you don't want a lawsuit, right?
No.
All right.
Should we explain the teaser, the video?
All right. So the clickbait.
Oh, from your brainstorming session?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
What do you
That
want to
was
also
so
say?
funny because it was just so censored.
I was like,
yes, because like there's a lot of information that like we said we don't want we found out a bunch of stuff like prepping
yeah,
for this
Yeah.
episode.
yeah.
But the
It's
thing
so
is,
sad. Yeah.
the thing is we filmed when Mariam was watching the documentary, right? We
Mhm.
filmed and then afterwards
She
we were
wanted to see my
debriefed.
reaction. Yeah.
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 And afterwards we were debriefing. That's why it's on camera because we were
Mhm.
like talking about it and stuff. And then after watching it, we were like, do we remember a year ago? No, 2 years ago actually. It wasn't even a year ago. We all know that Fegan's still acting, right? And it happened to us. We weren't catfished, but we received personal stuff from someone. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then we left it alone. We were like, we're not gonna engage, right? And then
And we did like everyone, knew not to get engaged in that.
yeah,
So we wouldn't bring
because
attention to
it
it.
didn't happen only to us. It happened to a few people we know. And then we
Yeah.
all were like, did you see this? Did you see this? And we were like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not engaged. And there was a name. Someone did that, right? There was a screen name. And then when we were prepping for this episode, we went back to the message boards and we saw the name there. And then
I didn't
Mariam-
realize. Yeah, I
no,
didn't realize
Mariam
it was the
saw
same
the
name.
name and sent me the screenshot of the message board that had the name. And then I looked at it and I was like, this is the same person that sent us the personal stuff 2 years ago. And that's when she was like, so this is the background of the, like, we don't know who this is. We don't know if this is Sarah. We don't know, like, but because the person was sharing personal stuff, we were like,
How
well,
did they get that?
yeah.
Why did they get that?
We like
Why are they trying to expose Tegan and not
instantly you
expose
think
them?
yeah, instantly you think about Fegan or Tara, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We were just connecting the same screen name of two people online, and that
Mhm.
happened, years apart. It could just be not even the same person, but because it was the same screen name, we were like, shit,
Yeah.
did we find Fegan?
So that was fucked up. So they're onto us, I suppose.
But that's the only thing. Like, we don't know anything. We were just like, oh, let's put this as a teaser
As a
so people
teaser.
want
Like,
to
I forgot
watch.
even what was it. I was like, why was I so surprised? I forgot what it was. I don't know how people like. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think if the person is like really like they know who we're talking about, they're like, oh, like
they
oh
know.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they know about
Like
me,
it would be
whoever that is.
obvious.
Like,
Yeah.
if they think it's them because someone did it. So, but also our podcast, we have 20 listeners. So it's like, this is not going to go anywhere. This is
10
for
of them are
ourselves.
Debbie.
Half the listeners are here.
This is
Yeah.
for ourselves to process all of this together, and then whoever wants to listen to it, we hope that it brings them some sense,
Yeah, it's just for ourselves. I mean, with this podcast is like me tweeting when I used to tweet, basically. It's just my entire my journal. Now I just do now I speak because I'm too
Yeah.
tired to type. So it's just my journal, my entry to go back to when I'm 80 and old and on a wheelchair so I
No,
can
because you
listen
don't
to.
even listen to it.
I don't right now, but I will when I'm
Oh,
old as part
okay.
of nostalgia. You know that. I love my
True.
voice.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to the script.
Sure.
Back on
So,
track.
Tegan and Sara's fandom and the culture of obsession.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, this is one of the entries that we got, the culture of obsession. And we're gonna go through a very brief journey through the TNS fandom, how it started and what happened in the middle. Um, Basically the we know that the fandom started on .ca, on LiveJournal, L Chat, Tumblr later on. Initially it was it's a very positive place, like it was mentioned
And
on the documentary.
there were just other message boards as well, right?
Message
Probably
boards, yeah,
smaller
yeah.
ones.
But these are the
These
ones
are,
that we
yeah,
know.
these are the like
Famous.
key ones.
That's where people used to post like, their concert pictures and their
They went
videos.
there to connect
Yeah, and
because they
that
couldn't do
was
it. They couldn't do it in person.
exactly. And YouTube was just like very young. Like, it was like
Yeah,
YouTube came out in 2005, I believe.
yeah, and like that.
Yeah,
Also, they were mostly queer, and they didn't connect with people offline. So they were online connecting with people who they could like a safe space for them to be themselves when they couldn't.
exactly. Yeah. So it was like a community, a place that they can
Exactly.
connect. Later on, that interest has turned into an obsession.
Hmm.
A lot of it's a thing with fan bases that you want to
Yeah.
like you idealize this person, you want to know everything because you want to relate to them. So it's like you want to know what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're thinking, where do they live. And it's because it's a very like personal type of not fan base, but what's it called? Like the interest is personal. It's like it's this queerness and
And it didn't help with this fandom specifically that Tegan was so open. They were
yeah,
both
here's the thing.
open.
Yeah. But Tegan
They
specifically was
didn't. I
open.
mean, yeah, and she wouldn't know that people would turn
No,
out to be
she's
like
naive.
No.
this.
She's young and
Yeah.
naive. She was in her
Well,
20s, early 20s.
well, and the internet was so young.
Hmm.
Yeah, we
Like,
didn't understand that when our mothers used to
like,
tell us that don't post on the internet. I,
I
like,
mean, and think about Tegan and Sara. I mean, they're older. I think I'm the oldest of all of us here,
Hmm.
and they're older than me. So there really wasn't internet literacy.
Mm-mm.
It was kind of like, oh, there's email now. Oh, there's websites. There's these message boards
yeah,
you can connect. It was all like you only knew kind of the positive of
Hmm.
that's
like
true.
building community that way. And like as far as like after shows and stuff, them talking to fans, like that's how bands
Connected.
operated back then, and they
Yeah.
were exceptional at it. But other bands did that too. I remember going to shows as a teenager in like 2000, 2002, a bunch of different bands. And it's like, it wasn't unusual that the band would go and sell their merch at the table.
Hmm.
Um, so it was
So
just like
yeah,
a different time.
I
yeah.
think the banter was really now retrospectively dangerous because, as we talked yesterday, I got into them in 2012, and
Me
when
too
I
at the
wanted
same
to
time.
know more about them, I would just watch videos, and
Hmm.
they shared like the whole of their lives there.
That's
Yeah,
true.
they are good at making it feel like they're
It's
You know
sharing
relatable.
them.
all of their
Yeah,
lives.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the thing too. I think that like when you're watching them, you're like so connected and like, oh yeah, I relate to that. Or but
There
it's
is
still
charisma or a riz if
absolutely
you're Jen
absolutely
whatever and watching.
Jen, whatever.
You're
Um,
Jen, whatever.
but it's still just like a small part of them, but they're so good at it that
Yeah.
it feels authentic. And I think it is authentic.
I mean, it is authentic. It's
Yes.
just we as receptors
Mhm.
are quote unquote the problem. It's not them sharing. It's how we get that and then
Yeah,
we make it
Exactly. We
seem
take
like
what we can get and
yeah,
Yeah.
we crystallize it.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then
We were
make it
talking
like
about this
they're
yesterday.
entitled to know more.
right. And then
Exactly.
like you said with like specifically like queer community, queer women. I think there's like a heightened thing going on there. I don't know
Yeah.
how to really verbalize it, but also like
It's just
age,
intensity.
like
Intensity,
yeah,
I
it's
suppose.
intensity, and then like also your age. Like if you're a
Yeah.
teenager or in your early 20s,
Early
it's like
20s,
more
that's true.
intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
especially if
yeah,
you're going through things and the songs were so relatable and so
Yeah.
heartbroken. And you know how
Yeah.
we are so heartbroken all the time.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
feel like so alone and isolated, and
Yeah.
then you can connect with not only
Exactly.
Tegan
Yeah,
and Sara, but the whole community.
Like,
I
I
think that
remember.
made it more vulnerable
That's true,
situation.
because I remember when I was like 19, hashtag call me,
Oh my
and I used to listen to the con, and like I would cry and cry. And now when I look back at it, why was I so sad and crying? And when Dark Comes Soon, I would be like, that's on the floor.
Wreck.
And
Destroyed.
yeah,
yeah.
I would
it was
literally
like
lie on the floor and listen to the con and cry.
same, just cry. Why? And now I'm 30, I'm like, oh my God, I was such a
You guys,
sad person.
I'm 41. I still cry to
Listening
those
to songs.
songs.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe because I'm on antidepressants. That's but yeah. But I mean, I know why I was sad, but like, was it that like necessary to cry that much
That's
to
not the
just
point.
die?
That's not the point. Like,
I don't know.
whatever each person connects.
I remember I wrote a poem about Tegan, and
Oh my God. Here we go.
I was so obsessed.
Read it now.
How old were you?
19 or
Oh,
20, something like that.
see?
What was
It
it
was-
about?
it was-
Was it about
No.
like how she saw you
No.
or
No. It's not about that. It's just that there was a picture of her and she looked really nice in that picture, and her
Oh,
eyes
duh.
reminded me of someone.
every picture?
No, her eyes were like, so I don't know. It's the sun was reflected on her eyes and they reminded me of someone. And I kind of
Oh.
connected that. It's like, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Tegan
It
posts
made you
pictures with
think.
Georgia, and it reminds me of my childhood dog, and then I'm crying.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like
Because I had a border collie mix also.
all of us are different in how we react to the music and the banter and
Yeah.
everything. It's different for everyone, but I was gonna say that this happens in with every fandom and every person who connects to the
But
music.
the intensity, honestly, Debbie, the intensity was
Yeah, but
like,
that's what I'm gonna.
I've been a fan for a lot of people. Like it started with Hillary Duff and
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus, and then Jonas
Mhm.
Brothers, and then Selena Gomez, and it stayed like with Selena Gomez for 5 years, and I was obsessed, literally obsessed. But the intensity was only and the
Yeah,
length
Yeah,
with
of
Tegan and
course, but
Sara.
that's what I was gonna say. Like it's in the Tegan and Sara fandom specifically, it's a combination of like the obsession. Everyone is a little bit obsessed because of like how they make you feel connected to them. It makes you feel like it's invitation for you to know everything because they
Mhm.
themselves are sharing so much. So you're like, oh, if they're sharing, like it's like
It's like I have to know
unconsciously,
everything.
but you feel like, oh, if they're sharing everything, it's fine, like quote unquote, that I get to know everything. So it's kind of like embedded in the fandom, like specifically
think
Tegan and Sara
it has
fandom.
this
A combination of that, the obsession because you feel like you can know more because they are sharing so much,
exactly.
plus you being queer and not having a place to talk about this outside of it, so you're online. And most like
Mhm.
you can just be behind a name that is not even your name. Like no one sees your face,
Mhm.
like combination of that plus I was gonna say something else. Oh, I remember now. So Jamie in the documentary, she says, oh, we are in these message boards and we enable each other. So because everyone is doing that, you feel like you can also
Yeah.
do
It's
it because
fine. It's normal.
Yeah, you get
no one
get sucked into it.
Yeah, no one is
A
monitoring
dynamic that's
each
not
other.
It's
No one is
normalized.
saying
It's
normalized.
normalized,
Exactly.
yeah.
No one is saying like this is not cool. Let's stop doing it. Everyone is like you just feed into it. Everyone is doing it, and so I think it's a combination of all of these things plus the people who are. How am I going to put this in this podcast? Like the people who ship them, like because it's all of that plus. I don't know
Yeah.
how to put this.
I don't know how to word that.
The people who
either.
write fan fictions about them. You can say that.
And there's predatory people too
Thank you. Yeah.
in the
Here's the
fandom.
thing. Yesterday,
in all fandoms.
I want to tell you this thing, guys. Yesterday, when I was doing the research and like going through the old fans' Tumblrs and like going through their archives, I saw things that were just so wild. The way that they speak about them in a very predatory, perverted,
Yeah.
sexual way, that I was like, that's disgusting. I don't want to read that. But it was
Yeah.
so normalized. This is the thing. It was so because everyone was just talking about that. Like
Yeah.
it's just
You
they're
guys,
like they're
literally,
sexualizing them. It's so
literally
terrible.
one of the reasons that I kind of didn't get into the fandom deep, because I first saw Tegan and Sara in 2002.
Yeah.
So I've been a fan a long time, but I was not deep in the fandom during that period of 2008, 2014. Like that literally was like my least active present time. I
Era.
didn't see any shows in those eras.
Not just Tegan and Sara, anybody, right? Because you're
Only
living
a
life.
few. Yeah, I was living
Mhm.
life. I was broke, health
Yeah.
stuff. But also like I remember seeing things on message boards and online that were like what Miriam is saying, like made me uncomfortable, like the sexualizing. And I was
It was
young
very
then.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But just here's
And
the thing. When I read that first,
ugh.
yeah,
And
but
and I remember like wanting to step away because I was like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand this.
Because if
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I'm a Tegan and Sara fan, then people might think that.
Exactly.
And it's also I wanted to say that like all of this is happening online in a group of people that is not even the majority of Tegan and Sara fans. It's just like this group of people online
Yes.
that is part of it, but it's so like loud within
Yeah.
this community, not outside of the community, because like most people are like, what the fuck, I had no idea this happened. Like people who are online talking about it anyways.
Right.
But within the people who were online seeing it was so loud that Miriam and I, we theorized that that's what broke the fandom online, and that's why everybody now,
Yeah.
everyone is like not silent, but like the fandom after 2014 kind of faded.
Mhm.
And we think it's because of this crap.
Honestly,
that,
what
like,
freaked me out
surfaced.
yesterday was like
Because no one
because I
wants to be
was on
associated
Tumblr.
with it.
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
on Tumblr till 2017, I believe, 16, 17, something like that. I don't remember much, but I remember during Love You to Death, I just like kind of my interest died away in that website. I was there on Twitter the entire time. But I remember I used to see those like the very like sexual in nature type of comments about their bodies and their what they're wearing and all of that.
Mhm.
And it was fine. Like I remember it was normal to see that because like Debbie said, it becomes
Normalized.
normal. It was
Mhm.
normalized. But and I remember they made a lot of accounts made and a lot of fake accounts were made for Sarah's belly button. We talked about this before.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. And they did
It's like
message
so
her.
weird. Like
They messaged her like, "Does your belly button exist?" And she did respond, "Yes, I assure you, it does." And they were trying to find pictures of her belly button if it exists. Like, it was fucked up, and we were laughing and joking. It was a whole joke in 2014 on Twitter back then, and on Tumblr. And when I was reading yesterday, I was like, "That's so disgusting. How was I part of that?" Now I
yeah.
felt like
And
my
it has to
stomach
do
turned. I
it
felt
also has to
awkward.
do with like how everyone was young as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, but what
That
makes it
absolutely
right?
factors into it. It
It's
doesn't
just
make it right.
No,
It's
not at all.
sickening.
I'm just saying it's like it's all
it's
of this
just normalized.
combined. Yeah.
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 To fit
Like
in, baby. Yeah.
but everyone should know better. This is not normal. This is not okay. And it's
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happening with all fandoms in a certain capacity.
Exactly.
But then in the Tegan and Sara fandom is specifically because people sexualize them in this way. Like it's creepy. Like it's I don't even know how to word it because they're twins and lesbians. It's like a factor
Yeah.
that it makes
It's
it
a
different.
fetish. It's a fetish
Yeah,
for
the
predators,
fetish.
honestly.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Fetishizing is a good way to describe. I mean, recently, in recent years, and heard people yell things that I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just try to tune it out because I don't want that to ruin my
Your
experience.
experience.
That's true.
But also it's like, okay, cool, stay away from that person.
Yeah,
Oh,
One thing though, like,
sad.
is in the documentary when I mean, and Q&As and all the press around Fanatical, Tegan has said a few times, like for fans to like look out for each other.
Hmm.
So I think it's good to talk about all of this because, we should look out for each other.
I
And
agree.
those of us who,
compassion. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, have compassion, but also be safe. Like,
But also, do we
don't
trust
have
those
compassion to
who
the
are
point
around
where like
us?
you let people just act certain ways because it's like, oh, I have compassion because they have a really hard life and that's why they're
No.
being
Yeah. Well,
predatory
you
assholes.
should have
No, there's no
compassion, but
excuse.
you should
It's
also,
empathy, all
Yeah,
right.
yes,
But
but you
mm,
should also be careful with who you trust, because like it's so
right,
easy for you to connect with someone and trust them because you feel like, oh, they like the same band, so they're probably the
right.
same as me, and that's not true. And
Absolutely.
it took me 10 years to figure that out actually, because I followed other artists before with people that I didn't really know, but now I realize that that shouldn't be that normalized, like at the time I was like, it's fine because we're all here doing the
it's an
same thing, so
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so it makes sense that I don't
But
know
the
how to
world is
explain. It's like
dangerous,
you
Debbie.
you
Here's the
feel
Yeah.
that.
thing.
I know, yes, exactly. So that, like, I'm glad that this documentary came out and now it's making me realize these things, that
It's making me remember
like
how
make
like
sure
back in
you
the
do know
days
the
we
person before you
trusted
trust
our
them.
children. People trusted their children with their neighbor's house at their neighbor's
Mm-hmm,
houses or
mm-hmm.
in the street. And now, like, no, there are child molesters everywhere, predators everywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't
No.
like my students. I don't trust them being next to an adult at all. I'm always wary. Like, don't talk. Like, even at school or when we're on trips, I'm like, if I see like when we were on a trip, one of my students, they're 15 or 16, and they're talking to like an old man. I'm like, I'm always wary. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
tensed up because I'm not comfortable and I'm always scared.
Sorry.
Like
Adults adults are like bold too. Like
Yeah.
we were at a concert recently, not a Tegan and Sara concert, and we were second row, and the band went off stage, and then they came back out for the encore, and during that time, before they came back out, this woman what was in the front row came around, put their hand on my daughter on her back, and was like, "They're gonna come back out if you want to get closer." And then Rosie's like cuddling into me.
yeah,
You're like,
Body
yeah,
who
language is
are
like, why
you?
is this fucking
yeah,
woman touching me? And then I
exactly.
was like, she's good. And then like
Yes.
put my arm around my kid. I don't know why. And I don't want to generalize, but a lot of times it's like older women
That's true.
who
They're
come up, like
projecting.
they're
They're
trying to be
projecting.
helpful.
Right. But it's
I
not.
don't need your help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hate it when it happens at concerts. It's but on the same token, I've had really great experiences at concerts where people are like, "Oh, she's doing so great," or "Oh, I see you're doing a great job with your daughter," like, and compliment me, which is really nice. And but when those other things happen, it's like so
Yeah,
troubling.
it makes you
It's like,
realize
oh,
that, yeah, you should always be watching out,
yeah, and
even
it's
if there are
scary
nice
because
people.
I don't ever want to be like, "Oh, I feel unsafe taking her to a concert."
You know what I'm very thankful for is that
Sorry, I get
I
fired
didn't
up about that, you
understand it
guys.
first. I didn't understand why Sarah had said for so long, but now I'm like, I'm really thankful and I hope she hides him as long as she can because if fans are that crazy and creepy towards them, imagine how they be towards their child. She has to
Dude,
protect him.
Yeah.
Like,
when
but
we were, did we tell Miriam of, like, did we tell, well, no, Emma wouldn't have heard this because I think I haven't talked to anybody about this, but when we were in Not Tonight tour, the third night, this woman like came up to me and she was like, "Are you Rosie's mom?"
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, what?" Like, and then she's like, "Oh, well, my kids saw the video of when Tegan, Rosie met Tegan when at that canceled Solvang show," because I did post that video.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's how what we found you and wanted you in the podcast.
Exactly. Like literally that's how Debbie and I got to be friends. That's
Yeah.
why I went to so many shows, is because
Because
we had
of
made that
Sylvain,
connection with
because what
Tegan.
happened. Yeah.
That's when this picture happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like why Rosie has had like any significant connection with them. But it made me feel like, and I'm not a famous person, but it made me feel like a little glimpse of what it must be like to just have people walk up to you.
Yeah.
And
I've had that
start
as well.
talking to you.
People have come up to me and told me like, oh,
Yeah.
are you Debbie, the TikTok and stuff, which is so nice, but it makes me think like, imagine if it was a bad thing, if they came up to me and said bad stuff, you know, it's like.
Yeah. And this woman in particular, this fan, like she was very well intended. Like she was fine. She was also a parent. Her kids were like around Rosie's age. So her kids weren't there, but I had that initial like kind of like, oh, like unsettling thing. Like, is this weird or safe or whatever? And it's happened to me a few other times, like in my normal life, unrelated to Tegan and Sara, just because of some other online presence that I've had at different times. And so it's weird because it is unsettling for somebody just to like know your name or know your kid's name and walk up to you in that way. But I don't know. Yet we collectively as a culture have decided like if we see a celebrity, we should scream at them and then immediately take our phone out. And
it's normalizing. Again, the normalizing thing.
So, anyway.
Well, we talked about boundaries, and I think it's really good that this documentary came out because not only fans can now realize that they need to have boundaries, we also realized why Tegan and Sara kind of stepped back from social media, and we can understand now better why they're not interacting with us anymore or in that capacity. As
I suppose
so. They don't
Would you
need
guys
to
like to
show us every single
footage of their life?
Detail.
It's not even healthy for us to consume that much. Yes, it's not healthy for us. We have our lives as well. We need to live them. So to be just involved in somebody's lives, that's creepy. That's
I think that's like one of the biggest messages from the documentary.
Of the Fanatical. They analyze the song Stan, which is the meaning of being a stan.
And like us as fans should live real life, less life online.
Yes.
And more out, in real life. That's for everybody. And we should want Tegan and Sara to do that too.
Yeah, I think with internet and how fast it just like grew, I think a lot of us, especially me for sure, felt that I can only be a fan if I'm online. And I need to show support like actively, and
especially people like us, like they don't visit our country, so it's like
so I just want to
my
be
only
online.
presence. I only exist with my online presence. Like I don't exist to them at all. They don't know me, so my existence happens in my online presence, and it's a human nature to prove your existence. Obviously, this is philosophy.
It's true what you said about like how internet grew so fast, because I feel like I just thought of it that like I feel like we are still learning how to use the internet in a way that is healthy and safe. And because like you said, of course you can go to concerts, but you're a fan, so you want to show support, you want to be present, but because you can go physically, what place are you going to? It's online. It's where you can go. So I think the documentary, like you said, I think it's good for us to like learn more about how to do it in a good way, in a
safe way.
Yeah, I agree. In an ethical way, right, Jess?
Ethical way. Yeah.
I know, guys, I know a lot of you listeners, I mean, the two of you listeners.
The 20 people who listen to us.
The 15 people that are not Debbie. I mean,
I'm probably 5 of these people. So
you're 5 of these people, if not 15. Anyway.
I don't know. I bet more people will listen to this episode.
I mean, I hope so. If you're listening to it, please let us know what you think. I mean, I can say it in the end. I'll say it in the end.
Yeah, they want us to share our theories, the timeline. They want us to get into the juicy, into the tea, basically.
Yeah.
We're not gonna disappoint you, but again, we're not gonna.
You're not naming names. You're
No.
not.
We're not going to
No.
name. These are theories that we
That's
have,
just
but they're
that's
just
just
vague, very vague
yeah.
theories. I'm pretty sure like a lot of people have these theories as well. But before that, let's get into the key events and timeline. Debbie, would you like me to go to the timeline they've
Yes,
made?
so I did a timeline with the information from the documentary because it was very confusing. Some of the
Mhm.
stuff I couldn't figure out, so like I kind of added there. So according to the documentary, JT meets Tegan in 2007
Mhm.
and communicates with her 2007, 8, and 9. And on March 11th, 2010, she reaches out to Tegan, but then an email bounces back. So perhaps that's when she starts communicating with Fegan, is 2010.
All right. In 2008, Julie befriends Tegan
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook. Was it Facebook or was it like just a message board?
I think it was Facebook.
It
Yeah.
was Facebook,
I
yeah.
mean, I've only watched the doc 4 times, but I think it was Facebook.
I think it was because she said someone sent her Tegan's Facebook page and said this is her
Mhm.
real Facebook. And then she reached out, but then I think it moved to email. So they started communicating. I think they communicated probably like everywhere, you know. From the documentary, they mentioned Facebook, email, Blast FM,
Mhm.
and text.
Mhm.
Those were the 4 places that Fegan was communicating at
But
least.
I have a question. Was JT communicating with actual Tegan back then in 7, 8, and 9? They were
Yes.
sending
Early
each other
on.
emails?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you open the screenshots,
Which one? Oh,
2008. So these are the emails and actually Tegan in an interview said that like when she was reading the emails and messages, she was like, this person sounds nothing like me because she used punctuation. She's very like when she writes, the punctuation is
Yeah,
correct
it's
and like the
long
words.
and like complete sentences, which is still how
Yeah.
she writes. Like
Yeah.
on Substack in comments, if she
Then
writes, it's
if
like
you just keep
this
going,
is
keep going.
so those are JT and actual Tegan communicating.
Yes.
but I am willing to do it before all this happened. I declined that I was going to talk to the
They're
band
talking about like
that.
the music industry and
Music,
stuff.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, music
Tegan and
person.
JT used to talk like JT was probably
Mhm.
asking for like help and stuff because JT wanted to
Mhm.
be a musician herself and like I think she saw Tegan as a person who's like, oh, I want to be like that. So she was
Like a
reaching
mentor.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
So
no longer
here's
using this email. Yeah.
yeah.
Please add Tegan if you would like to get a hold of me. Thank you. But how come JT didn't show the messages that she had with Fegan?
She did.
She did. They're much shorter.
Oh.
I was going to say that I thought it was very accurate and believable that when JT was talking about like back then emails like were like longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Letters.
true.
It's true. Like back before DMs and things like that were the norm, and we didn't text as much, and people still talked on the phone and emailed. There were long emails. Like I would write like 3-paragraph emails to my friends and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or coworkers or something. And then now it's just like little blips, and so it's kind of interesting how that has evolved or devolved, actually, in my opinion.
Can we go back to the timeline?
Mm-hmm.
So she befriends Tegan in 2007. They communicate until 2010, and then in 2010, supposedly, Fegan, she starts talking to Fegan instead. So they kept talking for a little bit, and then in 2012, JT reaches out to Tegan and starts a relationship. So between 10 and 12, that's when JT says that they were both like working on music and stuff, so they both like didn't communicate as much, even though I think by that time it was already Fegan, I think. And then so in 2013, that's when they have this relationship. And then when JT realizes that Tegan is in Vancouver in 2013, she then gives who she thought was Tegan an ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, around the same time, Renee, Tegan's friend, tells Tegan that JT was telling people that she had
a secret relationship
with Tegan. And that's when Tegan talks to management, and that's when management talks to JT. So all of that happened 2013-14. That's when Tara contacts JT, and then JT was like, I don't want to talk about it anymore and stuff. But then later on, she tried emailing Fegan, and then the email bounces back. That was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the like JT's timeline. But there was a theory that maybe JT pretended to have a metadata. Not that like she emailed Tara for sure, but the bounce back might have been a lie to see if Tara would confess, just like she did with the PI.
But Debbie, there's this thing.
Mhm.
This is a bit strange that on May 17th, JT tells Pierce she doesn't believe him and she threatens with the PI. And then May 24th is when the release happens on Tumblr.
So that's the thing. A lot of fans reached out to me after they watched the documentary to tell me their theories, and one of them actually messaged management about the Tumblr that is on the documentary, and they contacted management in 2012. So the Tumblr is not from 2014, it's 2012. Which is weird because in the documentary it makes it seem like everything happened in 2014, but this email.
What confuses me is that how everyone basically is tied up to it, whether they like it or not, whether they know it or not. It's just that everyone had interacted with this person when they were there. Like
one
Emma,
way or
if you
another.
were on Tumblr, you probably have interacted with them. It's fucked up.
Yeah. I can't recall, but I think that Tara reached out to JT after JT was like saying bad things about Tegan online, right? Is that how they connected?
Where was she saying these things online? Because
I thought she went on Twitter, but
yeah, I think part of it was Twitter. I think because I think she says in the documentary that Tara
on Twitter, that's true,
might have reached out to me because of the tweets. Like she was tweeting publicly negative things about Tegan because she was still believing that she had talked to Tegan, but it was really Fegan.
And the other thing is Jackie says that in 2014 the Tumblr stuff happened, but that was a year after she had communicated with Fegan. So I wonder how she stopped talking to Fegan as well, because by the time the Tumblr came out, she already knew that Tegan was Fegan. So that's interesting.
Well, I mean, fans talk, and some of them must have known that Fegan existed, so maybe the information spread, and people just stopped talking to Fegan.
Yeah, there were probably some people that knew or suspected that it wasn't Tegan, but then there are still people. I mean, I think we'll get to this, but there are still people that are putting out there that it was Tegan all along,
which is insane.
I wonder when JT really accepted that it wasn't Tegan.
I think if she was bluffing and trying to find out if it was Tara, I don't think she got an answer then. So maybe this whole time she was still not knowing. She still didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's so frustrating. Like, her story is probably the most heartbreaking one. And,
I was gonna say heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way that, like, and other things, the documentary came out. So I hope that it gave her closure about all of this.
Yeah.
But I did see theories, which this is a speculation I feel for JT. That's just what I read, that the theory that JT is Fegan or Tara. Like, I don't believe it, but
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, but I read that because
the trauma was so much to believe that, because that person was traumatized.
Yeah,
so
for
hell
sure.
No.
But what I read was that because she was a musician and wanted to have what Tegan had, like she was jealous that's what like was the motive to do all of that. But like face value, that makes sense. But with all of what we know now about what happened to JT and stuff, like I don't believe that. I don't think that's what it was.
I found all of JT's interviews in the documentary very like credible and very like I was very empathetic, even though I also don't understand like the vitriol and the online like slandering that she did. But
she was young.
No, absolutely.
No, that's
human. She was hurt.
That's the part that I understand because I did the same thing when I was catfished. Quote unquote.
We're gonna talk about this. Yeah.
Like
well, it's the thing we talked about earlier. Like things live online forever.
Yeah.
And I think that that of certain generations maybe think about that more than like a younger generation. And I don't remember how old JT is.
I
Like,
don't think it says her age. I'm not sure
She
actually.
was, I think she was like in her early 20s or like 18, 19, something like that
yeah, I think
when
she's a
this
little
whole
bit
thing.
younger than Tegan and
Yeah,
Sara.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think she was maybe
Like,
like 20 when she met Tegan.
but excuse me. But so I totally understand. On one hand, I don't understand because I just would never like
The slander people
slander
online.
people. Even no
Yeah.
matter how mad I am, I'd go talk to somebody in person probably.
Mhm.
Like I'd vent to somebody, or I'd write it out in my journal. Like
Look,
the whole thing, like maybe if you were born before 1985, you think about things differently than people that are born after that or after 1990 or whatever, because I just would never write my innermost thoughts on like Twitter. Like, and I was on Live Journal. I had a Live Journal in 2001. Like, that was my diary. I did it. And then you know what happened? When it got more common and people had access to that, I deleted my Live Journal. I was like, bye, Live Journal. No, it's not just my 5 best friends reading my Live Journal anymore, you know, like,
I mean, you never know on the internet, you never know.
yeah,
It's
whatever. I'm sure it'd be very cringe and embarrassing.
I
there
almost
is-
got kicked out of my job because of my Twitter. You know that? Remember that, Debbie, 2 years ago?
everything is
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
So I think I just I don't know. I don't want to come off as judgmental because I think it's very interesting to analyze that certain people of certain ages, it is like they tweet or they write things on social media, whatever, and then it's just there. And it's just
Sometimes
like
forever.
Yeah.
Because things are still traceable, and there's also the Wayback Machine where you can find probably, I don't know, 90% of everything that is not on the internet anymore.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, people are watching. You never know. People are always watching. I have an Instagram account for the Tegan and Sara updates, and I can see who watches the stories. And there are people there that no picture, don't follow anybody, don't even follow Tegan and Sara updates, but they're watching.
Yeah. Hi to everyone watching my story, but doesn't follow me.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
So people are watching. Be careful online on the internet.
Jesus. Use your close friends list.
Use your close. Yes.
Hide your story from weird people.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife.
Okay. So, I mean, we went on a tangent, but I think it was a very nice tangent. But going back to the timeline, we have the JT's timeline, and then we have Tara's timeline. So Tara's timeline starts
2010.
So to September 28, 2010, Tara is a student and messages Lindsay. So this is like the first in the timeline of like the years. It's the first time we see Tara. In 2010, she reaches out to Lindsay about like photography and stuff like that we see in the documentary. And then during time, she excessively messages Lindsay. According to the documentary, I don't know if the dates that they have there are correct, but they were from 2010 when she was messaging Lindsay like nonstop. 2010, 11.
That was a lot of messages.
Yeah. And then
that was persistent.
2013.
So is that the next time we see Tara? So in 2012, if the Tumblr was created in 2012, that's when Tara went ballistic online. In 2013, she reaches out to JT. I think that's when Tara believed she was talking to Tegan. And so I guess 2012, 13 is the time when Tara was thinking she was talking to Tegan. And she decided to expose Tegan between 2012 and 13.
Stuff, it's like, how do you even believe any of it? Because Tara is the only person in the documentary who didn't provide any evidence to back up what she said.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the documentary at the end, that's like part of the thing is like Aaron and Tegan
try to prove that it's her.
They conclude, like, after talking to Tara, I really don't think that it's Tara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that confrontation that they had is like a big part of the documentary. And it was very moving, you know, to see Tegan be like, why would that not affect me? How could that not affect me?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
like
that
the
was very, very
biggest.
hard to see, honestly.
Yeah.
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 Do you think there's multiple and they're working together?
There are many theories. There's the theory that started with one person, and then because that's the thing about this fandom, you talk to people, and then they start telling you more information.
Mhm.
So maybe they like fish for other fans to see if they will.
Jesus.
Hiring is not the word, but they end up like
Recruiting
Yeah, it's
you.
a
recruiting.
yeah.
Yeah, they end
Yeah.
up recruiting other
That's
fans to help
some
them.
crime shit. That's true crime shit, honestly.
But that's how it is. So this
It's
is
a
one of the
cult,
theories, and that's what happened
honestly.
with the theory is that that's what happened to JT. They tried to like maybe she would be one
Recruit
of the
her.
people to help them be Fegan, but it
Mhm.
didn't really work because they were like, stop talking to me, you know, because I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about this anymore. So that's
Right.
like in the theory that maybe Tara is one of the Fegans, even though she was a victim. She was quote
Yeah,
unquote
but
recruited.
was she?
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing. We
Maybe
don't
at
know for
first.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's one of the theories, and then we don't
Yeah.
know for sure. Like it could have been just one person the whole time, and
Does
everyone is a
Tara
victim.
even
It's
exist?
just
Does Tara even exist at this point? Maybe it was just made for the documentary.
oh, there's a theory also that it was all
Yeah.
made up for money, and Tara is
Kiss my
Sarah
ass.
with
That's
the weird
so
voice
stupid.
pretending to be a fan who was the victim. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
it's all fabricated. It's all fabricated.
yeah,
This
totally.
whole like, you know, media blitz around the documentary, the exhaustion that I'm sure they are experiencing, especially Tegan. That's all like she orchestrated all of this so she could just,
Yes,
you
totally.
know.
Because this
Are you
goes with the
joking?
theory that Tegan had a relationship with fans. At first, it started as like something harmless and like childish mistake, and then it developed into, you know, her having this with Tara and Tara going crazy and pretending she's Tegan all the time.
I think all of that,
It's
anything
bullshit.
on the edge of that is delusional.
Yes, totally.
And I mean,
You know, the thing is,
if you look at this whole story and you think, oh, the culprit here is actually Tegan, then you must think she is a psychopath or a sociopath.
no,
or
here's the
like,
thing. You know
like,
why this can't
these
be
other
true? Because
people.
Tegan sucks with the internet. She can't
She
do
wouldn't know
that.
how
Yeah.
she posted on Substack in a different account. Like she couldn't
That
be a
was so
hacker.
funny.
Commented to everyone. And I was like, Tegan, is
That was
that
so
you,
funny.
honey?
Like she couldn't be
Oops.
Fegan.
No,
She wouldn't be able to keep track of everyone and like all of the
Yeah.
information she shared with
And like
different people.
she's kinda, I'm sorry, but she's kinda dumb when it comes to the internet. Like we used to make fun of
She's
how dumb she
she's
was.
not tech savvy that way.
Yeah.
I love that about her. The thing is though, is that people that are, you know, people on Reddit or whatever anonymously putting that out there, they're just trying to like create a diversion or
Mm-hmm.
just maybe they know something and they're trying to just
Some people also just want to
they're trolls.
get a reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might not even be related to this at all.
I
like,
think some
but
Exactly.
they
people
just
was
want to see what people are
very
gonna say.
And then I was like, bye Reddit.
well, now it has moderators that take away everything, so don't worry.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that the moderators, I think they're great. I think that's a start. Even
That
though
is a good start.
even though they're, I think they're being a little bit extreme and deleting a lot of stuff that I read now and I don't have context. But
Right.
at the same time, I think maybe right now it should be extreme because I don't think people should be talking like, you know, that openly about these things anymore.
Yeah, you shouldn't be doxing people or naming people's screen names of who you think's
Anything.
involved. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
saying any of that. And
These
I
are
think
real people.
at this point, like you said, Debbie, I think it's fine to be excessive with moderating right now. That's better than not moderating at all.
As long as exactly you're not harming anyone. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, better to be safe than sorry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's fair to like theorize and talk about these things as long as you're not pointing fingers at people that you don't have any indication or real, proof that
Proof, yeah.
anything, about them that
And
shows
even if
that
you
they
have,
are.
like, here's the thing, guys, even if you have proof or whatever, don't post it online. You can contact Tegan and Sarah's management.
Exactly.
You go online and say
Let the
that.
adults deal
Exactly.
with it. Let the grown-ups deal with it.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
that's what people should be doing. And
Yeah, I
they
mean,
missed the point.
they missed the point. After the premiere, Debbie and I were walking back to her house, and we talked for like an hour
Yeah,
about,
we were talking so much we didn't realize we were already at my house, and an
Yeah.
hour has passed because we were talking so much and processing all of.
yeah, we were processing and reflecting all this. I didn't go online and process and reflect
Yeah.
it. I mean, it was, I mean, maybe if like we weren't there together, I would like
We would
message somebody
we would
like
probably
to have a
text.
conversation.
Yeah.
We would probably text, but it's like you can connect with other fans or have conversations, and you don't have to do it on a public thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's that's the thing where people miss the point, kind of.
But that's the thing also, I think most people didn't miss the point. Most of us are doing this
Yeah, but also some of the
privately.
people that don't miss the point, you're right, we're doing it privately, so then people
But I also think that
would,
people who didn't miss the
I
point
don't know.
should go online and be like, this is not cool.
Well,
Don't do it.
that's why I wanted to be
In the
talking to you guys
broadcast.
today,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, totally.
I think it is important to talk about. I don't think it's good to just like completely step back and like
Pretend
not
like
engage
didn't
at all
happen.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But you have to be mindful and thoughtful, aware online, and like
Compassionate.
that's like the empathetic.
Empathetic.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's
a lot. It's a
hard.
lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Still processing, like I myself, like I have a parasocial relationship with them, and I am aware of that, but in a positive way, like I
Yeah.
don't go online and then talk shit and like
Right.
demand things, and like, I think I'm not negative about it, but I do realize that I see them saying things and I'm like, oh, okay, so that means this, but I don't know if that means this. I'm just projecting or thinking,
Right.
like,
But it's a
Right.
normal fan behavior, Debbie. It's
exactly.
not something
I
bad.
know that, but it
Yeah.
makes me think about it. Like,
Yeah.
which I think
Like
everyone should be doing, and realizing that some of the stuff that they do, it's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That
think
is
that
true.
we talked about this a lot, Debbie, actually, because I was also reflecting like, oh, have I been like one of these? Am I going to end up on a list of like a fan to watch out for
Right.
because I'm like, oh, I
Same.
waited for them.
Same.
But
Yeah.
but then like things will
Like-
happen, and it's like almost I get validated
Mhm.
from Tegan and Sara, like, oh, you're okay.
Yeah,
Like-
you're in one of the good
then-
ones.
I mean, I guess, but like I will question, I'm like, oh, I waited by a bus. But also,
Yeah, but I questioned
like,
that as well. And moving forward, I don't want to do that anymore.
no.
But that's me.
But also like solving, for example, that was just like a fluke.
But it's all context. It's all within context.
It's context, yeah.
But when you generalize it, it's not okay.
It's also like after a show or before a show, if you like run into them somewhere. Oh, I'll share this story. It's a good example. Like at Seattle Queer Pride, I was there early. I walked around. I was by myself. My friend was coming to meet me later. I walked over to get some food, and I'm like walking on one side of this street on this block, and I saw Tegan and her partner come out of a restaurant on the other side of the street. And I saw about a dozen people following them out of the restaurant. And then I could hear from across the street people being like, oh my God, I can't believe I got a picture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I immediately was like, were you taking pictures of them when they're eating in the restaurant? Like, it was just so weird because it made me feel protective. It made
is
me
weird.
feel like I don't want to be like that. I think there's like time and place. It's like if you saw them,
I think it's like if it's genuinely an accident,
yeah,
it's fine. We need to start realizing that I understand you want to connect with anybody, famous or not, but you have to have common sense, more common sense, or be more critical about the things you do that affect other people.
yeah,
Like you need to be more empathetic and put yourself in that situation and be
for
like,
sure.
I don't want to be followed after I
Yeah.
leave a restaurant.
Yeah.
I know they're famous. I know, but it's like that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that
No.
you can't follow them. I don't know. It's like, and I feel like I didn't realize that until this documentary, It's
Yeah.
weird because it's right now it's so clear to me.
Yeah. I also think I've heard them talk about, specifically Tegan talk about in some of the press around Fanatical, talking about, and maybe at the Q&A, she's like, I still want to be that. I still want people to feel a connection, and you can say hi to me, like you can do that. But also she didn't in these exact words say it, but like Debbie's saying, like use your judgment.
Yeah.
Like read the room. Like I think she said in something like, don't video me while I'm eating. Like, what's the point?
Because it's normalized now. Because press does that. How come I'm a normal person can just do that? You know what I mean? Like that's the thought process. Like I don't think we realize
Yeah.
as we're doing it. And also everyone enables everyone. And also Tegan and Sara are nice. They're nice. They don't
They're
tell
too
you
nice.
don't do it. They're nice people. So it makes you feel like it's fine because
Yeah.
they don't straight up tell you like this is
Yeah.
not okay.
Just
They
because people are nice
quite the
and open
opposite.
and friendly,
Doesn't
like
Totally.
justify,
doesn't justify some
Totally.
of this behavior. And some of this behavior isn't to the extent of like
people take advantage of nice
Tara
people.
or Fegan, or some of it is not. And some of this behavior actually that is more nuanced to me makes me more uncomfortable and more wary and more careful. Like I don't want to be associated with people that are saying things about them, like in that objectification language and all that sort of stuff. Like I don't enjoy that. Like when there's a red carpet and like they look great, I like screenshot it and text Debbie. I'm like, oh my God, look at this. Look at the style here.
They look
look
so
at,
amazing, like
flawless.
of course.
Like that's normal. That to me that feels fine.
These things that we say, oh my God, they look amazing, etc. We go online and it's like a real person admire another person in a fine way. That's fine,
Right.
I admire myself. I'm like, look at me, I look awesome, and then I
Of
post picture of
course,
me.
as you should.
Can
we go back to the script?
We covered the theories.
Yeah, we went to a lot of tangents, but we covered stuff that were later in the script.
Yeah,
so
but I
that's
have
fine.
to say something. I have to say something that one of the theories, because it was one of the inputs, why did Tegan, if she knows who Fegan is, why did she cover it up? So
she said on the podcast with Shannon that when the FBI agent started profiling, and they found out that it could be a very young queer woman, probably in college, Tegan just didn't want to
expose them. Yeah. Did we cover all of the theories?
Can I just say, like, the theories are kind of like almost pointless because does it really matter?
No.
Yeah. I mean, these are just very general theories.
Yeah.
I have to say, Debbie, how about you tell us about your catfishing story?
Yes. I'm going to try to be as vague as possible, not to expose anyone or the artist that I was a fan of. At the time when it happened, it was public, like very public, because I posted online about it. So like at the time, people who were fans of the artist knew about it. So I don't think none of them are going to listen to this. So no one's going to know who it is for sure. But maybe you will. I don't know. But this artist is very small. The fan base is very small. And it's just to say that like catfishing and hacking and stuff can happen to anyone, big artists, small artists. So this artist has a history of being hacked over the years. And by saying that, you might know who it is. But I don't know. The thing is, around 10 years ago, I became a fan, and then I went online and befriended a bunch of other fans. And then they told me all of the history about the hacking. So I was aware. And at the time I was young, I didn't really know. So I listened to everything. In hindsight, I wouldn't do it again, But at the time I like it was a new concept for me as well. Like I would go on YouTube and find the songs and just listen to them. And then later I found out that they weren't officially released, and it was like a hacker that got into like all of their stuff and leaked everything. So this is the context of the artist history with hacking. So at some point, I received an email from the artist themselves directly to me saying that essentially from a source, they got information that me and another fan was trying to get into their Instagram account. And as like when I got that, I was like, I couldn't believe it because I didn't do it. So whoever the source is lying. I knew that for a fact. So my initial reaction was to reply and warn the artist that they were trusting someone who wasn't trustworthy because I wasn't doing it. So I knew for a fact that like they were lying to the artist. So I replied and then I said that. And then they replied back and only said like, oh, you must understand with all of my history, like I'm up to here about it. Thank you. That's it. And then I was like, I wanted an apology because to me, it felt like they still don't believe me. They still think I did it. And I'm just, trying to cover my ass. And then I replied back saying like, after all of this time that I've been a fan, like I traveled, I helped, like I supported you, like all of that. And then I said, I want an apology. And then if there's no apology, I'm going to talk about this publicly because I like in my head, I wanted the artist to apologize to me. So the only way to do it was to bring attention online. So I did that and I regret it now, knowing what happened to Tegan and Sara and like probably happens to many artists. Like at the time I was so heated. So that's why I feel for JT because I did this kind of like the same thing. I talked shit about the artist online because I wanted attention and then I got blocked by the artist actually. But then after a while, I think after some noise, like coming from me and maybe other fans trying to contact the artist and stuff, the artist posted online how they found out about us trying to get into the Instagram account. And it was through a phishing email. So clearly the email was fake, but instead of investigating the email, they accused the fans first. So that's what really upset me because like the fans also didn't believe me. By the time that the artist came forward about it, I had already left the fandom because I like because everyone hated me. Like in
you still
small
didn't
words,
get
but
an apology.
no, to this day.
The difference between that situation and JT is that like you really authentically should have an apology.
Yeah,
because you
I
were
think so,
accused of something
yeah,
that you didn't do.
like probably from their perspective, they probably thought that they had apologized in the email that they said thank you, but I was still not convinced.
Right.
No,
because they didn't
apology
say
is an apology.
they didn't say
Right.
I'm sorry, I thought it was you.
Exactly.
I know it wasn't
Right.
you.
Yeah, and they were like, so I saw the email. You showed me.
I found the receipts because I was like, people are gonna think I'm lying. I
No,
have
I
receipts.
can verify. Not that my word means anything, but I saw the receipts, and they were.
I believe you without seeing the receipts.
They were so confidently accusing you.
Yeah.
And like it was like a lot of words, and it was like a word salad. Like it was not well written like Tegan would write. It was like hard to read, like, but it was accusatory, and like
and it was very
to have that many words to accuse you, and then when it's like obviously proved that it wasn't you, to just be like, okay, thanks, bye.
Because like I was in my email, I was desperately trying to warn them about this. It's a lie. It's a lie. Like whoever told you this is lying to you. Whoever you're trusting is lying to you.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay, thank you. And then I'm like, do you understand what I'm telling you right now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the
anyway.
thing is, we look up to these artists and we expect them to be professional and
Mm-hmm,
maybe like
mm-hmm.
smarter than us.
And it's a person who supported them, like it's
Yeah.
crazy to me that like you literally lost a fan because you're dumb.
Right. And just jump to conclusions
Yeah.
instead of
Like, I don't
being
know. It
open
was,
to finding out
yeah.
the real information.
Well, this takes us
That's
to the career impact that this has on the fan base. I mean, the impact that
all of
this has on
us.
the fan base, on all of us, on the career
And
of Tegan and
Tegan
Sara,
and
on the fan
Sara.
base. Yeah. It did influence them being out and about on social media. And I now understand why they keep saying, I hate social media so much. We hate social media. We hate social media.
But it's
We didn't
crazy to
understand it
me.
then.
It's crazy to me that they still do it at
They
all.
do it because they have to, because it's
marketing, like you have
management,
to.
marketing.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
their
that they,
career.
I think that they, not that I assume to understand what they think, but
Parasocial.
I relate to the idea of hating it. And a couple of years ago, really stepped back what I was posting.
Yeah.
And like, I used to post a lot. I used to like be like a micro influencer, like when that kind of started. And then I really stepped back and I manually went through and removed like 75% of my following.
Same.
And then I stopped posting my pretty much. I'm just way more mindful of
Mhm.
of that. And I think some of that has come with age for me. And also with becoming a parent, and also just trying to find that balance of like online life and real life. Like obviously, like I love the internet in a lot of ways, and then I hate it in a lot of ways. So I mean, you have to enjoy it in some way to put up, a little photo dump of all these nice,
Mhm.
fun pictures. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
but don't be
because
obsessed
they're
with
not,
that. Don't be
yeah,
competitive and obsessive.
I don't think that Tegan and Sara like hate it so much that they could just not post anything, or they could post one photo or
Yeah.
two photos a week, but they post things. They're giving glimpses of things unrelated to music
And
too,
that's
and
why
just
they
like,
created Substack, so that it can
yeah,
be like a safe space. And I understand now why Substack is like
exactly.
they are able to know who's in there, the emails,
And
like
it's
they're
more
able to control that.
manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's more
they did get
manageable
a
for
few
them. And
Yeah, even
comments, I
Substack.
remember.
That was a comment that Sarah deleted herself. But
Mm.
um, so that's to prove that like even in safe spaces, there's still trolls and people who are hateful. But
yeah,
I understand that it's less. So I
yeah,
think
it's
that's how
less.
it
It's
should be
like a,
because there's no way you can stop everyone. But
yeah,
I think that at least reduce like drastically all the
yeah,
hate and the bad stuff.
yeah, you can weed out some of it
Yeah.
by going on to different platforms for sure. But yeah, I think it's interesting because I think that they have to enjoy it to some extent, because they literally could just not do it at all. There are artists who don't do it at all, or they
Mhm.
have a person who does it.
Yeah, I can't remember which interviewer, but Tegan had said that they share also some personal stuff themselves because then it comes from them, because it's
That's
like
like
the
when celebrities sell their wedding photos or baby photos to
yeah.
People magazine. But now it's like, I don't even think those photos are worth that much, because everyone has a smartphone and
Yeah.
everyone's a paparazzi now,
Yeah, exactly.
which is a whole nother
It's like they said, we
thing.
need a cultural reset to actually fix it. And I don't think it's fixable in any way, but I think it
Let's
should be
go hibernate.
reduced. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad they're going on a break because we can all fucking stop
And chill.
for a while.
It's been
and
too
then
crazy. The last 2 years have been crazy, honestly.
yes. Is there anything else?
So there are some questions we can answer, or we can let people who are listening answer if they want. Do you think Fegan actually stopped after being discovered in 2011 or
No.
continued secretly?
I mean,
No,
that's the thing. I don't know
continued.
if the first or like the original Fegan, or because my theory is that there's more than one person.
Yeah.
So I think maybe not the original one, because 16 years, this person must be really bored to still do this. But because it happened to us, because we received personal stuff 2 years ago,
I mean, it has
it's still
consumed them. I
happening.
think it's part of their identity right now
Yeah.
to be this
I mean,
identity thief.
obviously there's a lot of mental stuff going on.
Yeah.
Was the Tegan and Sara fandom uniquely intense, or do other artist fandoms have similar patterns? I think we already discussed this. Jess, you did touch upon this.
Yeah, every fandom has it, but because of the different situations of each artist, it's a little different, but it happens everywhere.
Trust me,
Yeah,
with
and the
bigger
fact
with
that
their celebrities is even crazier.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Like
with
we were able to expose Justin Bieber cheating on Selena Gomez in 2012 because of the stalking.
Yeah.
wow. But
Yeah.
the thing about Tegan and Sara starting when they did, and like their kind of gradual increase in fans and stardom, I think that that lends it to how the fandom is as well, because like now they already had like their peak, and then now it's kind of calmed down. Well,
Dying
now
down.
Fanatical is out, so I wonder what's going to happen now, like if more fans are going to get back into Tegan and Sara or discover them through the documentary. But it's just interesting. I think that they do have a unique approachability
Exactly. It's just that
and like authenticity.
it's a circle. It's not a small fan base, but it's also is a very like when you get in it, it's just like it's just that a community. Like I said, it's a
Yeah.
community. That's why it
I
gets
feel
so
like,
intense because
yeah.
everyone's
And
talking to everyone.
I feel like more casual fans can even like feel the community,
Exactly. Yeah.
the good things about it, but then
Yeah.
like be blind to all the
The bad
wild,
stuff.
And you know
unhinged.
what made it inclusive? What made this community inclusive is because they didn't only depend on tours, on meets and greets. They also had the online episodes, the webisodes, whatever they had. Where does the good grow? Like all of these things tied people. The Zoom
Yeah.
meetings, they tied people together. Like for fans like me who haven't seen them, they were like, "Yeah, I'm included."
Yeah.
It's like there is something for me at least.
Yeah.
So it's in the books and everything. It's like a brand. It's a
Yeah.
brand, honestly.
Yeah, and like you said, they did all those web series things and behind the scenes content and stuff way back. Like
Yeah.
they've been doing that for forever.
And Tegan used to film, like, and if it was you, she was used to film and edit and all of that. That was part of who she was. Um, Now, what are your last thoughts about the documentary? When you watched it, what did you feel? How did you react?
I was crying like from pretty much the first minute, which is like tearing up. And because during the last few years I wasn't an active fan. I would still listen to Tegan and Sara, but I wouldn't really go to Tumblr anymore or be really active on Twitter or anything like that. I would just like follow them and check them out to be up to date. And then seeing all of this and seeing
Brings
the
back the memories.
it really does, because there was all these photos that used to circulate Tumblr and the get along
Yeah, the
scenes.
nostalgia it hit me
And
deep.
just, oh my God, it just
Yeah.
like made my heart clench and be on fire, and I just cried. And Lindsay was there. Lindsay was there. I was
It
I
It's
don't
almost
brought
like
so
you
many
forgot
memories.
about her, and then she appears, and then you're like,
Exactly.
oh my God, she was so preeminent at the time,
She
because
was a huge part of this
yeah.
fan base,
She
and like
Yeah.
was.
when yeah. And
Yeah.
like Tegan used to post her all the time. And then we
Yeah.
were like, why doesn't she post her current partner? Why does Sarah not post? She used to post. I mean, now it all makes sense. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we have the
Yes.
answers because people are crazy, because people
we have context for everything that happened,
yeah,
that all of the
exactly.
decisions that they made in their
And
careers.
it's so
and
brave, honestly. I believe it's so brave
Yeah.
of Stacy to show
Oh,
herself on social
yeah.
media right now on Substack. I
So
believe that
true.
So I would like to just add that the documentary really just like fired up some feelings, some lost feelings, and it really gave me closure, kind of, to why they're not really like active anymore as they were, because they have Substack and they do still post and share themselves, but in a different way. And I was really proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just felt very proud, and also very proud to be a fan. And I've been a fan for 12 years, and
Nice.
Yeah, I also feel proud to be a fan, but also I feel wary of being associated with anything problematic.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the film as a whole, Debbie knows this because I've already said that I'm like kind of a documentary nerd, but the film as a whole was so well done. I don't understand people saying negative things about how it was done, so I'm just going to ignore that, and just say that Aaron Lee Carr is great, and I think that the way it's edited, the way that the story is told is I couldn't even give any notes about how it could be better. It's just, and I've watched it 4 times, but yeah, I'm glad they waited until they were ready to talk about all of this, and I'm glad that they had control over the story. And it sounds like every victim that was involved, pretty much, that's featured in the documentary, was glad they were a part of it. And um, with the exception maybe of Tara, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I was gonna say that when she said there are bad actors, I know she means like mean people, right? Bad people who are being
Yeah.
actors, but it sounded like there are bad actors, like they're not good at acting. But I'm
No,
like, they did it for
it's a
16 years. They're
phrase.
good.
Have you not heard that phrase
No,
before?
I have, but because I'm not like I mean I don't have like an English background or whatever.
Right.
I understand what she means, but my
Yeah.
first reaction was like, they're good actors. They were doing this for
Yeah.
16 years. But I know she means mean people, bad, like
Yeah. People doing bad
mean-hearted,
things.
bad-hearted,
Yeah.
mean-hearted people.
Harmful people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
just
everybody watch your
something I
back.
thought. Yes.
Take care of each other. Live your
Watch out
life.
for each other. Be careful what you post online. Don't
Yeah.
you can be obsessed and like someone, but it doesn't mean you should be mean and
Yeah.
negative and talk about people online in a bad
Be
way.
respectful.
Be
you should
respectful.
realize everybody is human and has emotions.
Yes, it doesn't mean because they're like very famous person you post online, they're never going to see it, so it's not going to affect them. That's not the way to go. You should always think about, you should be empathetic and think about what people are going to think about, because it affects them. They're real people and it will affect them.
Yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
does. And it did.
Word.
Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Mic drop.
So-
Insert mic drop.
To wrap this up,
Mm-hmm.
just really thankful that she was mature enough not to hurt anyone in this process, not to get anyone exposed if they didn't want to in this process. And I respect the fact that she left it like that, even though yes, it left us with more questions, but it's not our place to answer these
them.
questions.
Yeah.
And if
I
we
agree.
happen to answer them, it's not our place to let the world know,
Publicize. Yeah.
publicize that.
Yeah.
So please, like we said, be mindful, respect the message that this documentary watch it once or twice and 3 times, because honestly, it's really good, and it did shift my entire perspective on fandoms. I'm
Totally.
using words like stan because I use it a lot.
I stopped using that word.
Yeah.
My first, when I left the theater, I was like, I'm not using that word ever again.
Yeah, I remember
disgusted
you saying
by
that. We
yeah.
talked about it.
I was like, and
Yeah.
and you don't realize,
But it also made us all rethink and reflect on our own behaviors back then. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
maybe I was one of those bad fans who basically, the obsessive people. I feel like I now understand my boundaries, everyone's boundaries, and I understand what Jess said about social media, because I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to, I'm like, I want my own life to be my own life.
Yeah.
I don't want to like
Yeah.
all of it.
And I'm glad
because-
that they made this documentary and made people think, like, even though we're not responsible for all of this, we are somehow part of it, and we should look at ourselves in it and moving
Yeah.
forward, change whatever we do that we think helps the behavior and stuff. I think that we also consume like everything that they do, just like these people. So we tend to think, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm
Exactly.
that way. But
Mhm.
that's the thought that everyone should have now, and reflect on their actions and how they should
Forward.
move forward. And whenever these things happen, they should be called out.
I just want to say that I remember a tweet from Tegan when Sarah and Stacey had said, and she was thanking the fans for not being intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I now understand how much it meant to them that the fans didn't get into like
Yeah,
because fans could get crazy.
totally.
It's like, So I understand now. I understand a lot now.
Yeah.
To wrap this up, I just want to say that I honestly loved discussing Fanatical with you guys. I love this
Same.
episode.
Yay.
I mean, it's been a while since we have, talked about Tegan and Sarah entirely in an episode. Since we shifted the direction for this podcast, but remember, it's always centered around Tegan and Sarah. But I still believe that also it's an important topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The obsession over celebrities and how far it could get. One last thing we would like to say: you can find us on our socials.
Wanna talk TNS Pod? If you Google that, you will find like our socials, and
The link tree.
there's the link tree where you can find everything else. And if you want to tell us anything about the documentary, what you think about this episode,
Please do.
we thought it was very important, and I do want to know other people's opinions.
Tell us.
There's a link in the link tree where you can send messages
Yeah.
to us, and I would love to read them, just because I think this is such an important topic to discuss, and because we're all in this fandom together. I think I want to know if people like agree with us, and then like how they perceived the documentary themselves, if they have a different opinion than us.
I'm interested to hear if people are reflecting about it as deeply as we have been.
Yes.
I mean, I hope they are.
Yeah.
I guess, is that it? Like, I feel like we're missing something.
No, just like be safe, be mindful, be ethical.
Yeah. Be kind.
Be kind.
Empathetic.
Goodbye.
Take care of yourself.
Watch out for each other.
Take care of each other.
Careful what you post online, etc.
Yeah.
Please, everything will stay there forever.
Thank you so much.
Forever.
Thank you for listening, and till next time. Bye.
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 Recording in progress.
I forgot about the guest, to be honest. As long as time. No.
Wow.
Thanks.
That's okay. I guess we can.
But like, it's closing thoughts.
Not
okay?
surprised though.
Yeah.
We can all reflect on it at the end. Then
Sure.
Exactly.
Scratch what I said. Go back.
Yeah.
Why does it say sure?
Because
whatever.
the person just wrote it in there.
It's like, I do.
Sure, let's talk.
To be conversational.
Or
No,
cease and desist.
Cease and desist. Miriam has been
struggling.
Has been having trouble saying this. Cease
because
and
it's
desist.
a lot of S's, because I have a list.
You guys, I said ethical so many times, and now I just every time Tegan says it, I'm like, yes, ethical.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a shirt, ethical.
Yeah, in
It's
an ethical
nice.
way.
I would buy it. I would wear it. I like that word. I think
something.
she's my age or something like that.
No, she's not younger
Now?
than me.
She's not younger than you? Oh,
I don't
okay.
think so. Imagine.
I
How
think
old
she's
were you?
probably-
How old were you in
Oh,
2007?
2007. Sorry. Why did I go to 2013?
What kind of time warp are you in? No,
I was in seventh grade.
Yeah, she's not your age.
No.
I'm tired.
Now we have AI, and I'm very thankful for AI.
This is
No fuck
another.
AI.
That's
This
another
is-
episode.
The
Don't kidnap
documentary
Tegan, by the
was
way. Don't
Yeah,
kidnap
was
Tegan.
shit.
yeah, the documentary
I
was
cannot
amazing.
believe she said that. Like it's such
Classic-
a great ending
Classic Tegan.
line.
Classic
But
Tegan,
Which is
truly.
parasocial of me saying classic Tegan, by the way.
it is
But-
no,
But it is classic.
I'm
Tegan.
gonna be parasocial too and say that she would probably be delighted that we were like, oh, that's so classic Tegan.
Right. So funny.